Good evening. The September 15 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of the City of Longview is now called to order. Tonight's meeting is being conducted by a teleconference to abide by county, state, and federal recommendations to limit in-person gatherings to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. We thank you for your understanding. First order of business is the roll call. Due to the format of this meeting, we will begin with a roll call to confirm that all members of the commission are present and able to participate in our consideration. Commissioners, when I call your name, will you please respond in the affirmative if you are present? Nancy Murray. Nancy Murray. Tracy Vincent. Tracy Vincent, are you present?
Tracy seems to be offline, and Nancy is here, but she seems to be self-muted at the moment.
Thank you. And you're working to get them on, correct?
Yes, Nancy Murray, she should be on now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy. And you're working with Tracy?
Yeah, he's probably logging back on right now.
Okay. Tim Carpenter? Tim Carpenter, are you present?
Here.
Thank you. Brent Stevenson? Brent Stevenson.
I do not see Brent online.
Thank you. Pat Noon?
Present.
Thank you. Cody Sage?
Here.
Thank you. Ryan Baumgardner?
Present.
Thank you, Ryan. Jason Jones?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Thank you, Jason. I'm Frankie Parson. I'm going to circle back to Brent Stevenson. Not online. All right.
Not online. Tracy Vincent is back online.
And Tracy, you are back with us. Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. All commissioners are present with the exception of Brent Stevenson. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
We will also do a roll call staff. We have the city planner, Angela Choi.
I'm here.
Two. Our director of development services, Michael Shirley.
Present.
Thank you. And assistant director of development services, Ingrid Self.
Present.
Thank you, Ingrid. All are present with the exception of one. The approval of the August 18 minutes is 18th. Let me start. Sorry, I apologize. Next order of business is approval of the August 18th minutes. The approval of the minutes from our last meeting has been looked over, and are there any corrections? If hearing none, we'll entertain a motion, and I give you a reminder that we need you to please state your name for the staff that's taking notes whenever you make a motion. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Nancy. I move to approve.
Pat Noon has made the motion. Who else spoke there, please?
Nancy Murray.
And Nancy, you did the second?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. We'll now conduct a roll call vote. Nancy Murray, do you agree?
I approve.
Thank you. Tracy Vincent? Tim Carpenter?
Approve.
Brent Stevenson? At noon, made the motion.
Approve.
Cody Sage?
Approved.
Thank you. Ryan Baumgardner?
Approved.
Thank you. Jason Jones?
Yes, ma'am, approved.
Thank you. And I approve. I will circle back to Tracy Vincent.
I approve.
Thank you, sir. Staff, will you now confirm the record of the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Pat Noon made the motion to approve the minutes, and Nancy Murray seconded the motion. The vote was 8-0 to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Now our agenda item is the citizen comment portion. We have those wishing to participate in citizen comment tonight were invited to access this meeting through a link to register with the teleconferencing application. This portion of citizen comments are comments made other public hearing items that we have. If you wish to speak on an item that's on the agenda, please wait until I speak. Scott Shelforth is coordinating the technical side of the meeting, and we will assist with moderating the citizen comment portion of our meeting. When you call to speak, as a citizen, you will be unmuted and given one opportunity to speak. Please begin by stating your name and address for the public record. If you are also watching a live municipal television, please mute it to avoid feedback. Scott, do we have any residents who want to speak tonight?
We have 2 attendees, but both of them are applicants for our agenda items, but we have no one here for citizen comment.
Thank you, Scott. Now on to the regular agenda. The purpose of this meeting is to hear all pertinent testimony of those in support of and in opposition to the applications before the commission. Tonight is the first of 2 hearings required to approve a change in zoning. The commission also considers plans. The procedure for public hearing items to be followed tonight will be the public hearing will be opened and testimony will be heard in the following order. First from staff, second from the applicant, and then from the general public, and that would include those that are in support and those that are in opposition to the request. If you're part of a large group with a common interest, ask that you appoint a spokesperson rather than have each individual restate the same information. When addressing the commission, please begin stating your name and address and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes. When all sides have spoken, the public hearing on the matter will be closed and no further public discussion will be instituted. After each public hearing is closed, the commission will vote on the request. Zoning requests and Planning and Zoning Commission recommendations will go forward to the second public hearing, which will be conducted by the City Council on October the 8th. Regular agenda item A is going to be introduced by Angela.
Thank you. This is a public hearing will be held to consider PV 20-02 Lone Cedar Edition filed by Cedric Stevens for a variance to the subdivision ordinance section 92-102A to allow for a minimum lot size of approximately 6,098 square feet instead of the required 7,500 square feet minimum in single-family 4 zoning district as set forth in the zoning ordinance for approximately 0.14 acres of lot 12, block 644, Lone Cedar Edition, located on the north side of Brooks Street, east of Ryan Drive. And I will be happy to give my presentation. The applicant is requesting a variance to the subdivision ordinance. The applicant is proposing to subdivide an existing 3 lots, lots 11, 12, 13, into 2 lots. The existing subdivision consists of lots that are not compliant with current codes since they were platted before the current zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance was enacted. The current lot size is approximately 5,000 square feet for most of the lots within this subdivision. The applicant is actually making the lots more compliant with lot size requirements by dissolving the middle lot. The applicant is attempting to comply with all other subdivision regulations. Staff does recommend approval of this request. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you, Angela. Are there any questions of staff? Hearing none, does the applicant have anything to add or would like to speak on the request? The applicant is present. Would you care to speak? Hearing no comments, does the commission have questions on this item? Hearing none, we will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak in support of this request? Please state your address.
No, there is no one present.
Okay, is there anyone that would like?
Our applicant is online and he is able to speak. He's unmuted.
Go ahead, applicant, you have the microphone. Hearing no response, I'm going to move on to, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition to the request? Are there any additional questions or comments? If there are no more additional comments, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion. And remember to state your name and make the motion. Do we have a motion on this agenda item?
Make a motion to approve. This is Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Second, Pricey.
And that would be who?
Pricey.
Tracy, thank you. We have a motion and a second. We'll now conduct a roll call vote. Nancy Murray.
Approve.
Thank you. Tracy Vincent.
Approve.
Tim Carpenter.
Approve.
Brent. No response. Pat Noon.
Approve.
Cody Sage.
Approved.
Ryan Baumgardner.
Approved.
Thank you, Ryan. Jones.
Approve.
Thank you. And I approve. Will you now confirm the record?
Yes, ma'am. Jason Jones made the motion to approve. Tracy Vincent seconded the motion. The vote was 8-0 unanimous to approve.
Thank you. Now, regular agenda item B, a public. Angela, go ahead and introduce it, please.
Yes, ma'am. This is a public hearing will be held to consider application Z20-08, filed by Timothy and Brianna Teal, requesting a rezone from Plan Development PD 24 to Heavy Commercial Zoning District for approximately 0.489 acres of the Hamilton McNutt Survey, located at 411 North Spur 63 at the northwest corner of Joplin Drive and North Spur 63. The applicant is requesting a rezone for this corner that used to be Uncle Joe's Pizza. The request is for a coffee shop with a drive-through window. The properties to the east, west, and south are zoned heavy commercial. North Spur 63 is maintained by TxDOT and as a principal arterial roadway. This type of development is appropriate along this roadway as long as access management is followed. Staff finds that the proposed zoning change is consistent with surrounding uses. Staff recommends approval of this request. I would be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions of staff? Hearing none, is the applicant present, or would you like to speak? You have anything to add, or would you like to speak?
The applicant is present and is currently unmuted. She is self-muted, and then she can speak.
I'm good.
Well,
That's all right. My voice drops frequently. I'm hitting puberty for a second time.
I just saw Brianna, sorry.
That's all right. This is Timothy. No, I don't have any comments. I appreciate your consideration. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here. Does the commission have any questions of the applicant?
Are the Teals purchasing the property?
We are, and we have plans to get rid of that building next week from today, the 22nd.
Well, that block certainly needs some LC, so thank you for that. What is the ingress and egress for that property? Is it going to be off the side street for the coffee shop?
We were hoping to maintain both the entrance off of that one and the one off of Joplin.
So through the development process, I'm sorry, Frankie, through the development process, our city engineering staff will take a look at access management.
Okay, thank you. The commission have any questions for staff or the applicant? Hearing none, we will now open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak in support or opposition to this request? Speak up now, please. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. And I will entertain a motion. Remember to state your name for the staff. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve. This is Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
This is Nancy. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll now conduct a roll call vote. Nancy Murray,
I approve.
Tracy Vincent,
Approved.
Tim Carpenter.
Approve.
And we still don't have Brent. Pat Noon. Mr. Noon. Cody Sage.
Approved.
Brian Baumgartner.
Approved.
Jason Jones.
Yes, ma'am, approved.
Thank you. I'm going to circle back to Pat Noon. No response from Pat Noon.
It says Pat's online, but I've lost audio with him at the moment.
Thank you, Scott. Staff will now confirm the record of the vote.
Yes, ma'am. Jason Jones made the motion to approve. Nancy Murray seconded the motion. The vote was 7-0 to approve.
Thank you, Angela. The next item, 6 of the agenda, is to discuss the draft Unified Development Code, the UDC, by Michael Shirley, Director of Development Services. He'll begin the discussion. All commissioners will be given an opportunity to ask questions, and in order to be considerate of time, I will call on each commissioner at the appropriate time, and you can comment or ask your question. Please be aware that this is just a discussion item, and we will take no action on this item today. Michael will give a brief presentation first. Michael?
Thank you, Ms. Chairwoman. I wanted to start off by giving the commission an opportunity, an additional opportunity. From our last meeting, the consultant was online and gave a presentation over the UDC, kind of talking about where we had been, kind of what the process was, and a high-level overview as far as what the UDC is. And based on comments from that meeting and also the presentation that was made to the Construction Advisory and Appeals Board, who has some jurisdiction over portions of the Unified Development Code, we made the decision to provide the Commission and Board an additional opportunity at this meeting to provide feedback and or ask questions and not to seem as having a too strict of a timeline. And so basically what I wanted to do is just give another brief presentation and then just open the floor to those questions and or comments. The first thing that I want to do, the UDC is something that we've been working on for a couple of years now. Many of y'all have been involved in the public comment periods. We've had a lot of public and constituent and interested party feedback and meetings. We've tried to have this as a very open process, as well as taking direction from the comprehensive plan, our small area plans, and then also utilizing feedback that staff, of course, has received over the years in in various aspects of implementing the zoning and subdivision and various other ordinances that are part of the development code. So kind of what our, our guiding principles were for the document were, we wanted to have consistency within our development codes. And when we say development codes, when we say UDC, a typical unified development code, our development ordinances are those that are dealing with the typical land development process. Those are the things that y'all traditionally see dealing with rezones, land development, and the commercial and residential subdivision development. One of the unique things, though, that we're doing is we're broadening that scope, and instead of just looking at the just land development process, we're looking at the entire spectrum of what we do within development services, which is much broader than that. It's all of your land development, but it's also your building construction portion. So it's once you go beyond land development and you get into the construction codes. And so what we've done, because we're trying to have this one-stop shop concept within our building, we wanted to take that same concept and put it into our code and ordinances so that we didn't have all these various codes that someone would have to go through, because many of our developers, our land developers, are also builders. We have a lot of one hat wear or multiple hat wearers, jack of all trades, if you will, that are land developers, they're general contractors, constructors. So we wanted to make sure that we had a process and a document that kind of served that well. And so we've implemented the building codes into this as well. And so many of you know that we fall under the International Code Council. They have codes that they draft, the international codes, that we're under the 2012 version in most of them. But what we've done is we will re-adopt those with any local amendments and things into our unified development code. So from start to finish in the development and building phase, so from idea to rezoning to subdividing, platting, to utility installation through building permits, electrical, all the trades, all the way through building completion and certificate of occupancy. That process and all of those design criteria will be under the Unified Development Code heading, and then all the associated standards that go with that. So all of those links and references and everything will be written in the same language. It'll be under the one cover. It'll be consistent. And the other big part of that is usability, having it to where it's easy to find and easy to use, rather than, somebody pulls our zoning ordinance and they come and say, well, I've looked through the zoning ordinance and here's my project. And it's like, well, that's great, but you didn't follow, or you didn't have the drainage standards, or you didn't have our water and sewer ordinance, or our street ordinance, or all the various ordinances that adopt all of our various development standards. And so all of those will be part of and or referenced and cross-referenced back and forth, defined as well as illustrated. So those were kind of our principles, was that consistency, usability, and predictability. That was a lot of the themes that we heard, is we want to know what we're going to have to do. We don't want ordinances that are, well, if you do this, then it's this, but if you do this, and it's that. We want that. We want it predict. We want to know what we've got to do. We don't want to have to go digging and searching for it, or have all these variables. And so that's another part of what we've done, is try to go through and, minimize those inconsistencies and make it a streamlined process. Part of that streamlining of the process, though, does not, when we talk about making things streamlined and making the process easier, a lot of that is in the administrative processes. It's not necessarily saying, well, we're going to relax our codes or relax our standards, but it is streamlining the processes so that people know what the standards are. It's easy to find. It's easy to follow. There's not a lot of bureaucracy in the submittal processes. It's very well thought out, and it meets a need for our community instead of being an erroneous standard just because another community does it that way. So that's kind of what we've done and gone through, is really focused on that process. Now we have there, when we talk about some of the revisions as well, there are some things because of feedback we got in both comprehensive plan and our community meetings where some of those standards in our development process did need to be revised. Some of them were, strengthened. Some of the minimums, were changed, or, where we had an option, the lower option was removed, and so we have just a consistent standard. And then in our building code side of things, really we've not made any changes there. We've just brought those building and trade codes over wholesale and then basically implemented them in. And then where traditionally in the past we would have local amendments to those codes that would adopt our construction advisory and appeals board standards, would set forth our building permit processes and our contractor type and registration processes. We did take those and expand upon those, where we don't just have a section on building contractors and then another section that deals with utility contractors and then another section for this contractor. So we've tried to make all of our contractor types consistent, well-defined, and more flexible as well, so that you can, you have to be registered 5 different times for 5 different things, unless it's, of course, a state mandated license. So that's kind of a high level, if you will, overview of that without getting into the details. And I think we have sent out, since the last meeting, some highlights, some of those major revisions that we'll be sending out I think that was some of the comments that we've had, what are some of those specific changes? And so we'll be sending that out. I know we're working on finalizing that document, trying to make sure that we have a complete list of that. And so we will also be giving a presentation to City Council Thursday night. It'll be their first presentation in a while on it, providing them kind of the broad highlights of where we're at and what will be coming. And so at this point, excuse me, I'm getting a little bit dry. Excuse me. At this point, I'd be happy to answer, questions or take comments.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, now it's call on each center. Have nothing else to add there. And commissioners, this is your opportunity to ask questions. And first up on is Ari.
Let me just say, last month I had 3 specific questions, but they weren't taking questions. And I did not realize we were going to have a public discussion, which would include our questions today. So I will call the staff separately, and I want to compliment the staff. I want to thank Michael, Shirley. I want to thank Angela Choi. I want to thank Ingrid Self. I want to thank the people that have worked really hard to get this UDC together. It has been a labor of love over a long period of time, and it's thankless because the minute it's approved, it will need to be updated on something. But I will call you with my questions. I have no public questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Tracy Vincent.
I'd just like to say I appreciate all the hard work. There's been magnitudes of hours spent on this, and it's moving Longview forward, I think. But I'll hold my questions until later on and everything. But all my major ones have been answered. And again, appreciate everybody's hard work.
Thank you, Tracy. Tim Carpenter.
Well. Hard to believe that it's been a 2.5-year journey or thereabouts. Really appreciate for those of you that don't know, this thing went uphill against a couple of the trade groups here in town. I want to thank staff and especially Angela and Michael for sitting down and getting all of us who make a living in the construction business in a room and trying to hash out the differences on what we understood and didn't understand. I think that the truth of the matter is, and just so everybody understands, when this thing publishes, it's going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, somewhere around 500 pages.
Yes, if not a little bit more, yes, sir.
Yeah. So it's going to be a massive document. I mean, it's not going to be something you could just pull down off the bookshelf and hold. But at the end of the day, it's got the flows in it. It's got the things. It's got the paths. And I think a lot of the issues that we've had, and from what I've heard from developers coming in from out of town, is we don't have a standard set of rules in our town. And my biggest and greatest desire is that it will be that blueprint that those people who are coming in to invest in our community will be able to streamline and come back through and make it through in a quicker time frame. I mean, construction and the development business, time is money. And that's a very important piece that I think this is going to address, because we've had a lot of situations over the years, commissioners, that we've had one of the 7 pieces or parts of the puzzle holding up the other 6 and vice versa. So really complimentary. Freeds and Nichols have listened, and I think staff has listened. And I believe that, Michael, and I may be wrong, but I believe we're closing in on something that we can make work and more importantly, make it easier for staff. Because when somebody in our city gets upset over something they didn't know, the person who gets the worst end of it is generally on High Street, if it's not the mayor. So hats off to you guys, to staff, and just everybody that had a hand in it. I mean, it's been a long journey, and I'm just really looking forward to being able to get it to the point that we can take it forward. I do want to also make sure that commissioners understand that, unlike our sister city in Tyler, who pushed theirs through without doing all of this work that Michael and Ingrid and Angela have done, they are up to 151 pages of revisions as of the last time that I talked to them. It's my hope that we've knocked those changes up on the front end, and that our document will be substantially cleaner than what they have, and that we won't be running back and forth trying to add, change, delete, all the parts of it. But anyway, thanks again to the staff. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tim Carpenter. I'm going to call on Brent Stevens to see if there's a response. Brent on the call at this time. Hearing no response, we'll move to Pat Noon. Mr. Noon, do you have questions or comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. I apologize. Something happened to the phone a while ago. Do I need to go back and actually vote on the Z20-08?
We
No,
didn't have a,
that vote's already been taken. It's all right.
Oh, okay.
It passed.
Okay, well then I will do the same as everybody else has done, commend the staff for the work that's been done for the last 2.5 years on our unified code. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
thank you, Pat. Cody Sage?
Michael, did I understand you correct that you guys are going to issue more or less a summary of codes or requirements or ordinances that are actually changing in this UDC?
Yes, that's one of the things that we're working on finalizing is a highlight of the major revisions and doing it kind of by article and section. We've got a draft done, and we're in the process of kind of QCing and going back and making sure that we didn't leave something off. And so I would imagine probably late this week or early next week, we'll be fitting that out as well. And certainly any comments or feedback that anyone has, please feel free to get with myself, Ingrid, Angela. We'd be happy to visit with any of y'all. I would like to say that what we have currently published is a draft. It's not the final draft. We're still taking feedback and we're still going through and QCing and still making sure that all those things that we wanted to do, it'll do so that, like Mr. Carpenter said, we don't have to go back. Not to say that there's things that once we get it in play may not do what we thought it was going to do and might not need to change, but at least making sure that we have our right foot forward to start with. So.
All right.
Okay, well, that sounds good. That's all I have.
Thank you, Cody. Brian, comments or questions?
I don't currently have any comments. It sounds like a lot of hard work and diligence has been put into the process. So, thank you guys, city staff, for putting in all that hard work. But kind of like Cody, I'll follow up with what Cody had said. I'd like to see some kind of highlight or summary, Michael. But not prepared at this time with any questions. But look forward to seeing what you guys have. And I'm involved directly with construction every day, so I certainly advocate any kind of resource that would give a guy or a developer the ability to kind of streamline that process. So, anyways, no, that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Jason Jones, comments or questions?
I don't have any questions. I would just say comments as far as, the work that Angela and Michael and Ingrid have done for over 2 years has been really, really great. I've heard them talk about it a number of times, and I think it's exciting to get to the point where we're actually going to have a local policy instrument that integrates everything and makes it easier for those folks that are like the ones that just spoke that are in it, and also bring more business into Longview. I think makes it a little bit more attractive to have all those developmental regs in one place. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Jason. I would simply say that I think this one-stop organized resource with providing a standard set of rules is wonderful. My compliments all that have put so much time and thought and sweat and tears probably too in this. Good comments and questions from the commissioners. Thank you all very much. Do we have anything someone wants to question or say? Hearing none.
Frankie, I did just want to follow up and say that appreciated all the comments about the staff time and the work. Really, I would like to give a thanks to Ingrid. She has been the kind of the behind the scenes person. Y'all heard from me a lot that she's really the one that has been steering the boat on this process and has put in a lot of time and a lot of effort on the organization of it and keeping it moving. And so I wanted to publicly acknowledge her for that because she is a huge part of the success of this. And also another part of it, and I don't know that I mentioned it last time, one of the things that we're working on as well is a public portal with our permitting software that will allow people to go online and register for access and be able to apply for permits online, be able to check status of their projects and processes. We're working with our team on that. It'll integrate with our existing permit software, and we'll be starting slow on that, rolling out with what we call our cash and carry permits, which are going to be like our trade permits. And one of the things that we've done this year with our fees is we've streamlined a lot of our fees where it's just a single fee. There's not a lot of what I would call add-ons, so that way you know what your permit fee is going to be if you're an electrician or a plumber, and then they'll be able to go online and request those permits and be able to issue them. They won't even have to come in the office, and then we'll be working towards a process to be able to take plans and things online. That one will probably be a little bit longer, having the ability to do digital plan reviews. So that's another component that we're working on that we'll be rolling out in the next few months that'll kind of tag team with everything that we're doing to help streamline processes, make things easier and more user-friendly, so that it's not a laborious process of having to come down to our office to do everything. We're doing a lot of our things digitally over the phone, via email, via the portal, and a lot of interaction there, and also being able to provide feedback via email responses and things like that that are automated from plan reviews and also from inspection, comments.
Excellent, Mike. Also, from all the commissioners and myself to Ingrid, she was like a dog with a bone. It sounds like really picked it. So good job. In closing, if there are additional comments or questions or other business, please know that it is possible that our next will need to be conducted by a teleconference like this one. Hearing no further, are adjourned.